What's up, guys, and welcome back to the NRL Fantasy Scout YouTube channel. My name is Alessandro, and today we'll be going through myself and Connor's initial preseason drafts to discuss our thoughts in general and to talk through the players that we currently have and don't have. But before we get into that, we do have a special announcement regarding our premium content. As some of you may be aware, last season was our first year in which we did additional paid content for those who wanted an extra edge in fantasy. It is back once again this season, and we are doing things a bit differently. So last year we had Tier 1, which was personalized team advice. Essentially, you could DM us your team every week, and we'd give feedback, recommend what trades to make, how to plan for the buys, etc. And we also had Tier 2, which was Tier 1 plus our premium content. So our player projections, full list of player break-evens every week, amongst other stuff. This season, we want to try and simplify things, so we are removing the tiers and it's having one membership option. It is essentially just Tier 2 from last year, but rebranded. We are actually adding even more stuff, however, whilst keeping the price the same. So our Scout Report, which is our weekly article where we discuss buy, hold, sells, they'll be moving to premium only. The actual buy, hold, sells post will still be available for free, but the article with all the reasoning and whatnot will now be emailed directly to our members every week, sort of like a newsletter. Our forward minutes projections, they will also be moving to premium, but don't worry, we'll still post a bunch of players for free. Sort of like how we do our break evens, where we have a full list for our members, but then we post a bunch of players for free also. Our full list of everything available in our membership, we post it on our socials. If you would like to sign up, we are doing a special offer until the round 1A Vegas games. So if you become a member before then, you can lock in a price of either $10 a month or $50 for the whole season. The regular price is $15 a month or $75 for the season, and that price will take effect directly after the Vegas games, so from Monday the 2nd of March onwards. We do have a 7-day free trial also, if you'd like to get a sneak peek before properly signing up. Our membership is done through a website called Buy Me a Coffee. I'll link it down below. Alternatively, you can just head over to our link tree, which you can find in our bio across all our social medias. So yeah, once again, this offer is only available up until the Vegas games. So if you're keen or have any questions, please let us know. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into these team reveals. Okay, we'll start off with my team. I'll go through position by position, discuss the players that I have, also talk about who's been in and out of my team, why I don't own them currently, that sort of thing. Um, I'll try not to be too numbers focused. I'll probably save the numbers for the podcast and future content. I'll just be more like general talk, I guess. But we'll start off with wing fullback. So I got Farlongo. He's very much locked into my team, as I'm sure he's in most people's teams. Pappenhausen's retired, so he's got that number one spot locked down. Training there full time will do him a world of good. Uh, yeah, he's underpriced by at least 5 points and probably should see some natural progression anyway. So yeah, I really like him. I don't think he'll be leaving my team. Next up, we've got Chester. Expected to start in the centers for the Cowboys. 250k. He should get DPP as long as he starts in the centers, like I said. Um, Not expecting too much from him, but at his price point, he doesn't have to do too much. Even if he scores mid 30s, like he'll make good money. So yeah, he's pretty set in my team as well. He may not start, but he'll definitely be in my team somewhere. And the third spot is the one I'm struggling with the most. I've had a few players there, but at the moment it's currently Brian To'o. I think he's a big pod, and I am pretty hot on him as well as the Panthers. I think they'll definitely start stronger than last year after their slow start. Yeah, To'o had a bit of a weird season. He had his lowest try rate, I think since 2021 or something like that. He only scored zero point 0.4 tries per game, which is very low for him. So I expect him to bounce back and return to his numbers from past years. So he's there for now. I have had Jai Gray there quite a bit, but I'm not completely sold on him. Now he'll play fullback obviously with Latrell going to center, but he's hasn't been the greatest fantasy scorer in the past. Like there is value there, don't get me wrong, but I'm not quite sure how much and whether he actually will be worthwhile. Um, I don't like any of the premiums really. Obviously, like most people, I had Kinney penciled in until his price came out. Like 600k is definitely a no-go. Um, Actually, I don't hate Ponga, but with like the injury stuff, he hasn't trained much in preseason, so probably can't go there. But if he was fully fit, I don't mind it. 'Cause I actually think he'll do a lot of kicking this season. Like Brown, Sharp, and Stan Smith aren't really noted kickers, so I expect Ponga to help there, but not to start the year. Um, Kiraz, who I have at center currently, could be my third wing fullback. Um, but I think I need him in center for now. Other players I looked at Selwyn Cobbo a bit, but even if he plays outside Herbie, I don't really like him. His base isn't that good. And also, people will say like it's good that he's outside Herbie, but I actually think Herbie's a bit of a hog. And I don't know if actually it being outside him is actually a good thing because Herbie doesn't really pass. We see it in the past with like a Psycho. A Psycho was somewhat relevant a few years ago, but then he just got no ball and really struggled outside Herbie. So yeah, probably won't go Cobbo. Um, and then there's the cheapies like Macassini, but depends if he gets a spot. And also Fayem Arnie and Setu too, who aren't in the game yet, but they could be options as well once they get added. Um, yeah, so we're moving to the centers now. I currently have Kiraz and Penasini. Um, Kiraz, I really like him. Gus Gould has said that he's been training really well. It's his best preseason ever, apparently, which is a big call because Kiraz is already so good. But as a Bulldog fan, I love watching him play. His offloading is crazy. His tackle bust, his run meters, his base is incredible. Very exciting player to watch. And then I have Penasini next to him. Penasini, I'm expecting a bounce back here. Moses back in the team properly. Um, we looked at in the past where Penasini's average tends to be higher when Moses is in the side. And I think Eagles will be better than last year. So I can see some progression here for Penasini. At his price point, I really like him. Some other players that I've had here, I've had Herbie a bit, but now that I think about it, like 800k is just too much for a center. Like even if I think his price around 63 ish. Even if he averages like high 50s, he'll lose quite a bit of money. So I don't know if he'll keep it up either. It's just a lot of money to pay for a center, and I'm not sure I want to do that at the moment. Um, this one might sound a bit crazy, but I've had Kurt Capo a bit. Uh, I love a second row is available at center. They're usually fantasy gold, but as we know, Capo is a very inconsistent player. Loves a missed tackle. Um, there is value there if he starts in the second row and doesn't get moved to center. But as we saw in past seasons, like Capo can get moved to center if there's an injury mid-game. So it's a bit risky, and he's getting older. So I probably won't go there, but I am considering him. Another Warriors center, Leia Tower, if he wins one of the center spots, I don't mind him. I quite like him as a player. He hasn't really kicked on yet in his career, but I think there's some potential there. Um, Again, Macassini, like I mentioned, a wing fullback. If he gets a spot, I'll have him. But at this stage, we don't have him making the team. Okay, yeah, we'll move on to the halves now. Currently have Dylan Brown and Nathan Cleary. I actually didn't have Cleary for a very long time in a lot of my drafts, but I've come around to the idea now that you need one of the big three for captaincy and whatnot. Dylan Brown, he's been in and out of my team. Currently in, there is value. I just his role's still up in the air whether he'll play 5'8" or halfback. I'd probably prefer if he was the halfback. And then there's question marks over who will be his partner in the halves as well. He's sort of a placeholder. It could be him, it could be Mitch Moses. With my current structure, I just have Brown because he's cheaper than Moses. Um, yeah, Brown's numbers when he played halfback a few years back without Moses were quite good. So if you can get to those heights again, then he's very much good value. like I said, it just depends on his halves partner and where he plays. So I need more news on Brown. And also he's somewhat in doubt, I guess. News came out about the visas and being let into the US. So you have to wait and see on that one. And then clearly, like I said before, he hasn't been in all my drafts, but he's made his way in. He's my favorite out of uh, himself, Haas, and May. And I think you probably need one. He is slightly underpriced. He had the HIA game last year and also one game off the bench. So he's a bit underpriced. And like I mentioned with Toto, I'm quite high on the Panthers. So I think he can see some improvement anyway. Other options that have been around my team, Mitch Moses, like I said, I'm pretty high on him. I think the Eagles will do better this year. Obviously, Dylan Brown's left. Pezzett becomes a new half who should be less dominant, I guess. And also Zach Lomax has obviously left, so Moses gets the goal kicking back. So he should get roughly, like, you should account for 6 to 8 points for goal kicking. So there's a bit of value there. Jerome Hughes, I'm interested in. I'm a bit annoyed about his price. He should have been lower, but he got a bump by FanHub. Lots of games last year where he failed to finish, so his average was very much skewed. He is still undervalued, but not sure by how much. Shannon Smith, similar story to Dylan Brown, just depends. If Shannon's a 7 and he's goal kicking, I think he'll definitely be in my team. If he's at 9 or 6, well, no, he won't be 6, he'll be 9 or not 9 or 7 of the options really. At 9, probably not. I think he'll share minutes with someone. Um, you might notice I don't have Ethan Sanders in my team, and it's not really something I'm too happy about. I'm just struggling to fit him in right now. I feel like he's probably the weakest of the cash cows. Like he'll still make money, but I don't have him making as much money as the likes of like Lasardi, Patson, Colhoun, those sort of guys. So that's why he's not there. But I would love to fit him in somehow. Um, Atkinson I've toyed with as well. Again, another player whose price has been affected. They announced he was 400k in the previews initially, and then the game came out and he's 450, which is a bit annoying. Um, I do like him. It just depends on how much him and Carl Flanagan split the kick meters. Hopefully, we get some insight into that for the trials. But he's a wait and see for me for now. And also a bit of a left field pick. I don't see him being talked about too much, but Cody Walker, he's very cheap. He sort of similar story to Jerome Hughes. Like he failed to finish a lot of games. Walk out a few games off the bench as well. So his average has come way down, and he's very cheap as a result. Um, the big question mark is if he can stay fit, and it's a big gamble at his age and with his injury history. But I am considering him. I'll move on to Edge, where I have Jermaine McEwen and Toby Couchman, who's actually currently my captain. I'll talk to that a bit. I'm a big fan of captaining a Vegas player because obviously they get locked in. If you captain a player who plays round 1B and then something happens to them or you're not keen on them anymore, then you can't get rid of them. So preferably I try and captain a Vegas player, and especially with the middles, the Vegas fields are much smaller. So I can see Couchman getting through a bunch of work as usual, but maybe even more so. Yeah, with like I said, with the smaller field size, the middles tend to get lots of tackles. Um, yeah, and then McEwen set to start on the edge with Kaipi's Paul leaving the club. It's a pretty obvious pick, but there's lots of value at edge this season. So again, he's not locked into my team, but we'll see what happens there. There's lots of players that I'm interested in, but I can't fit them in. Bit of a long list. Brendan Nickera had a down year, quite cheap. I see him bouncing back. Zaya Papali'i looks likely to start on the second row. Just the question mark over the minutes. Siwa Wong, if he starts second row with Radley suspended, he's quite good value. It just depends if he plays 80 or not. We currently have him around 60 minutes with either Egan Butcher or Nat Butcher taking some minutes off him. But he's an interesting one. Also, Luciano Leilua. He's looking really fit in preseason. If he starts second row and there's no Halengahu on the bench, he's a big one to watch. Yeah, it's good price point. And there's also Ola Kawatu. Again, sort of similar to Nikora, he's had a down year, injuries, and he's cheaper than usual, but probably not won't make my team. I'm not keen on Manly. Evans is gone. I don't know if Fogarty can feed him as well. They don't really have the chemistry that him and DC had, but still in consideration somewhat. And then a few cheaper guys, Keelan Lukey and also Ryan Couchman. It just depends if they get the roles required to be good value. We'll go on to mid now. Mid, I'm actually quite settled on. Maybe some of the few cheaper guys like Hopwood, they're of some interest, but they probably won't get the role required. But anyway, I got Yo, Stewart, and Mooney as my starting three. Mooney's just a given. He's locked in. Moved to the Knights. Expected to play big minutes. Definitely in my team. Isaiah Yo, he's had a lower average last year. Few low minute games. He's underpriced by about 4 points roughly. He's very rarely this cheap to start the year as well. So I don't think I'll be getting rid of him. He's pretty set in my team. And then Hamish Stewart as well is also similar to Mooney. Expected to play a bigger role this year. Start at lock with DeBellin and Clemmer having left the club. Yeah, I don't see him leaving my team either. I guess the big question mark is Payne Haas. I have him ranked second behind Cleary in terms of the big three thing. But with all the value in the mids, I just don't see the need for Haas really, and I think he'll regress slightly. So yeah. Move on to hooker now. It's actually a position I'm struggling with a lot. At the moment, I have Hayward as my starting hooker, and I'm not sold on him. I don't mind him, but I can see the argument that he's a trap with all the missed tackles and stuff. I still think he's probably better than what people are saying, but at the same time, I'm not completely sold on him. Um, Reed Marnie, Harry Grant, Chris Randall, they've all been in my team at some point, and I'm not ruling them out either. If we can get news that Marnie will play 80, then I think you have to pick him. But if like Sonny Luke's on the bench or even Harrison Edwards, Marnie's role is unknown. Um, I think he really needs 80 to be of value. That's why he's not in my team right now. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Harry Grant I like, but I just can't fit him in right now. I don't know if he's required if these value options eventuate. And then Chris Randall, I was keen on him when we first found out he's starting at lock, but then looking at the numbers, he's actually not that amazing. So unless we find out he'll play 60 minutes ish, then maybe, but I don't think he will with Tino and Fodawaker taking big minutes already. Um, we go to my bench now. I got Tino, Fafita, Colhoun, and then Dewey for the looping. Tino, I really like. We spoke about him on the pod. He's underpriced by like 8-ish points due to some lower minute games. Fafita is Fafita. Colhoun set to start a lock with McInnes, not back until May. So quite a bit of time to get some extra minutes, get the starting role. So all three are locked in my team. Adam Dewey, like I said, he's there for looping. But anyway, he's a really good option set to start at 7. Latu Fanu, injured slash looks to be on the bench. Dewey averages really well in the halves, so and should probably goal kick as well. So he's definitely in my team. And then my emergencies, I got Lasardi, Brandon Smith, Patson, and David Fale. Um, all look to be really good cash cow options. Lasardi starting edge for Storm with Eddie Katoa gone. Brandon Smith set to start at 9 for the Rabbitohs. Patson set to start on the edge for the Titans with Bafita gone. And then Fale's been talked up a lot by Shane Flanagan in the preseason and set to start on one of the wings. And he will get DPP as well if he's named to start the wing in round one. Um, yeah, all look to be really good options. And I rate them all over Ethan Sanders, like I mentioned earlier. And that's why Sanders is in my team. But yeah, that's my team for now. It's been changing quite a lot. Nothing's set in stone outside maybe five-ish players. I'm open to get talked out of anyone really. My team, like I said, been changing a lot, so we probably won't be the same team tomorrow. But that's my team for now. I'll pass on to Connor now, and he'll talk through his team.
All right, now onto my team. Let's start off with the wing fullbacks. The first one I've picked is Dylan Edwards. The wing fullback this year is a tough position, but Edwards had a slightly down year last year. Again, when Penrith were losing to start the year, he wasn't scoring strong. That combined with a couple of HIA affected games means he comes in priced at 46 points. However, from round 14 onwards, when Penrith began their winning spree and started to put it all together with Talangi, Edwards averaged 59 points. There are a couple of games in which he got the goal kicking duties, but regardless, I believe there's at least 5 points of value in this gun scorer. Without the growing pains of new halves combination, I like the look of Edwards this year. Next I have Tamale. After averaging 39 last year, Tamale comes in priced at 35 points. However, he had 4 outlier games in which he scored under 25 points, and one in which he was injured at the start. If we remove these games, he averages 47 points. Of course, he's still prone to them, but with a year of experience under his belt, I believe that Tamale is only going to improve as a player. I'm banking on the upside here that he doesn't have a bad game to start off the year, but I feel as if Tamale can be the Greg Marju of last year. Rounding it off, I have Farlongo. With 45% of people owning Farlongo, it's clear to see why he's a great fantasy option. Priced at 35, he already averages 41 points when playing fullback, showing 6 points of value off the bat. But in those games at fullback, he only got attacking contributions in less than half of those he played. I expect him to score tries and provide try assists to skyrocket and even maybe average at least one a game. If this happens, you're looking at a mid-ranger who's at least 10 points of value in a strong Storm side. Moving on to the centers, spent big and brought Herbie. Coming in at an expensive 800k, Herbie is coming off the back of one of the best center years in NRL Fantasy history, only dropping 2 scores under 50 points last year, and one of those games in which he only played 18 minutes and still managed to score 45. He continuously got better as the year went on before unfortunately getting injured that game. He's priced at 63 points this year after averaging 63. Is he a player of value? No. Will he probably drop in price a bit? He definitely could, although in a favourable opening 2 fixtures, he'll be running at South's right edge and a dire Titans outfit, with neither side being notoriously good for their defensive efforts. In a skint centre position this year, with not the greatest options or price points, Herbie can easily outperform all the other averages by 20. Without any notorious DPP centre players this year, such as Dylan Lucas or Beau Fermor, like Herbie did last year, he could be the reason why you catapult ranks if you own him, or why you fall behind if you fade. To partner him, I've gone with David Fale. Fale looks like he's getting first crack at one of the Dragons' winger spots, scoring 50 points in an NRL debut last year. Fale has also been an impressive talent in New South Wales Comp, where he averaged 36 fantasy points a game. That being said, he also had a decent base. Having a similar tackle bust game as Tamale last year, if he gets that nod at the Dragons, he looks like a great cash cow option to open up the year with, who can also be a decent scorer for your team if you need him. Now, going into my halves, I've started off picking Cleary. My favourite out of the big three, Cleary comes in at a whopping 900k. With this price tag, I'm not paying for value, but I'm looking for consistency and stability in his scoring. After starting the year off slow last year and picking up an early injury, Cleary finished off the last 10 games strong when the Panthers began to put it all together with Talangi. In that stretch, Cleary averaged 75 points, but more importantly, his lowest score was 61, showing his value won't change too much if he has a bad game. With my belief of the Panthers returning to the top four this year, even potentially being one of premiers, Cleary looks to be a lock in my round one side. Next is the youngster Ethan Sanders. Taking over Fogarty's spot, Sanders looks like a great cheapie option. With Toby Black injured, there's minimal threat to his position to start the season. He averaged 32 in the 4 NRL games he's played, also scoring 37 in the game which he had the goal kicking duties. It's looking like he'll continue with the goal kicking this year, so he should be a low risk option and could easily clear his price of 26 points and score quite comfortably. Moving to the edges, I first have Couchman. He begins the year off priced at 51 points, having a few injury-riddled games last year where he kept blowing up his shoulder. Looking to be fully fit before the Vegas opener, we expect Couchman to get big minutes in this forward pack as the leader. When playing more than 60 minutes in the middle, Couchman averages 67 points, which is a ridiculous feat. His PPM of 0.86 makes him a safe pick, but there's definitely a lot of upside with Couchman. That combined with his DPP, he's one of my favourite options to start the year with. I've also captained him as he's the best Vegas option in my opinion, and he should score well due to forwards getting more base points on a smaller field. Next is David Fafita, who begins the year at a discounted price of 500k due to his down year with a lot less minutes. At a new look South Sydney side that is shaping up to do well, Fafita could return to his old ways. Now, with the South's forward pack, there's no guarantee he will play the full 80, but the stats show that when he plays at least 60 minutes, he averages 62 points a game. Primed to start and play big minutes, I'm expecting Dave to be at least 15 points of value, if not more, if he returns to the devastating second rower we all know. Moving into the mids, my first pick is Yo. He comes in slightly undervalued due to a combination of low minute games around the origin period and some poor scoring due to a rough start to the year. Still, when playing 70 plus minutes, Yo averages 65 points, making him 10 points undervalued. I expect Penrith to start the year off strong and Yo to be a big part of that success. Next, with the Bella moving to Parramatta, Hamish Stewart looks to be a lock as the Dragons starting lock. The other option is that the Dragons play Couchman at lock and start with Gula and Kerr as their props, but that just sounds silly saying it. In games over 40 minutes at lock, Stewart averages 49 points. We predict he'll play 50 minutes, maybe even more, but being priced at 33 points, he's heavily undervalued at 442k. Finally, I have Trey Mooney. A move to Newcastle gives Mooney a chance to shine in a new look Knights pack. In the 3 NRL games where he's played over 40 minutes, he has a PPM of 1.32 and averages 61. Now, he might not hit that level every game, but for someone priced at 33, our predicted 50 minutes gives him at least 15 points of value, making Mooney a great cash cow to start the year with. He's got the vice captaincy at the moment in my team because he's also playing in Vegas. Finishing up my starting 13, at hooker I've picked Bailey Hayward. Priced at 29 points, he averages 39 when playing roughly 70 minutes at hooker. Bulldogs are expected to not have a 14 on their bench, and with a full preseason of training, the 10 points of value only looks to get better. To start my bench, I have Brandon Smith. Coming in at such a big price, the Cheese doesn't need to do too much to start generating money. In games over 30 minutes, he averages 41 points, giving him 17 points of value. With reports saying he's primed to start based on an amazing preseason, he should hit that 30-minute threshold with ease. He's a bit of a no-brainer in my squad, as he covers well and enables a lot of other positions. Next, Tino finds himself a bit undervalued due to an injury-riddled season last year. He averages 57 when playing over 60 minutes, which he's shaping up to do this year based on Titans preseason news. It's always great when you can start with an underpriced keeper. A cheap option that has risen due to McInnes's injury, Colquhoun looks to continue on from last year and start off as the Sharks lock. Even though NRL Physio has said he can return in rounds 1 to 6, and I'm no physio myself, but I still think McInnes will be out until May based on doing his ACL in August last year. That falls into the usual 9 to 10 month recovery for an ACL that we have seen many other players recover from last year. This gives Colquhoun enough time to get good minutes in the Shark squad. We predict him to get 45 minutes, and with his PPM of 0.84, this projects him to score roughly 38 points. It doesn't seem like much, but being priced at 26, he looks to be a nice, stable cash cow. Finally, it was a tough decision, but I've gone with Dewey as my half at around this price point, over the likes of Moses and Brown. With Fino out to start the season, Dewey looks to be the starting halfback for the Tigers. Last year, when he played at halfback, excluding the game he was injured in, Dewey averaged 61. Even in all his other 80-minute halfback performances, he averages 50, and those other games were during the early stages of his career at Souths. In a better Tigers side and coming in priced at 41, there's easily at least 10 points of value here, and a great scorer for my side. He starts on my bench, so I'm able to loop in round 1, but it's way too early to decide that order now. Finally, going into my emergencies, I've started off with Lasardi. With the unfortunate injury to Eli Katoa in the Pacific Championship last year, Lasardi looks like he'll be given the first nod at second row. Despite the fact he won't get full 80 minutes and will most likely share minutes with Joe Chan, 60 is more than enough for Lasardi. Being nearly basement price, he's projected to score around 40 points in 60 minutes on the edge. If he's listed as the starter for Melbourne, you'd be silly not to pick him. Next, I've got Paxton. In the Titans preseason news, it was leaked that Paxton looks like the starter on the right edge for the Titans. Again, at his 250k price point, this is fantasy gold. With a solid PPM of 0.86, if he gets 40 minutes alone, he'd be 15 points undervalued. We predict him to play 65 minutes based on the other forwards moving to different roles, meaning he's even more value. He's one of my favourite picks under 300k. Tom Chester looks to gain the starting centre spot again after sustaining a season-ending injury last preseason. The young speedster averages 37 when playing full games at centre, and he should also get the wing fullback centre dual position after team lists are announced for round 1. Being 250k, he only needs to score higher than 20 points to start making money, and he provides great coverage to the wing fullback and centre position at a cheap price. Finally, to round off my team, I have Makasini. Makasini is the one in my team that I'm not too keen on. He's a huge risk, especially with the Tigers not playing round 1. We don't even know if he's going to play. That being said, he's a heavily touted youngster who Benji is keen on and could break out this year. He also provides some much needed coverage for a dire centre and wing fullback spot, whilst spending next to nothing. Makasini is pretty much just a placeholder in my side for now. So that's my squad heading into round 1. If you've got any questions about any of these picks, I want to see how this team compares to other builds, let us know in the comments. And if you found this video useful, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share it around. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.